Hello. Oh, there we go. All right. So there's a thing on the ATEMs. It's called ATEM Grey. Or that's the name that everyone has started to call it. And it just happens every now and again where you try to turn on your camera and it's grey. So I'm just trying to reboot the ATEM so that you can. I mean, I would hate to deprive you of being able to see my beautiful face. And so I'm just going to try to restart it. I'm just doing it now. Of course, something that I've seen as well recently is that it doesn't like Zoom doesn't like to. Oh, look at that! I was about to give a disclaimer that it wasn't going to work, but it did work. Occasionally, we've tried to work out whether it's a certain number of times or something. But if you're doing something with using the ATEM input as a webcam, oh look at that, it's frozen. Looks like I'm deep in thought.
This is a really big ad for the ATEM, by the way.
Well, Heather, how many shows have we done and it's never been an issue? I tell you what's happened is I haven't been in this office for a couple of weeks, and everything was still just kind of turned on. I just came in just expecting that it was going to work, which is the wrong expectation. I'll try one more reset. It's okay because we're waiting for a few more people to arrive. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, that really doesn't want to work. And that's what I was going to say before, is that often it just needs a either Zoom needs a restart or sometimes the computer needs a restart to really make sure it works. Great great ad for the ATEM. So let me. I am going to do a quick. Yeah, look at this, Muddy ATEM Grey. Our favorite.
You look great, Grant.
Been there. And that's why I love the HDMI to a capture card as my backup, because it's only the USB connection.
That's true. Yeah, it only yeah, exactly. It does only happen that way. And what seems worse now is that you really need to restart altogether. I find you have to restart the whole computer to be able to get it to.
Oh no! Just if you power cycle the ATEM, I've had good success.
No, just did that.
No. Oh, yeah. Bummer.
I'll try it again in front of your eyes because I can see the doubt all over your face.
Well, the problem is you may need to leave Zoom and come back.
Well, I used to do that, and then that still didn't work. So
interesting.
Oh, it might. But then what happened? But just before Muddy was I got it working again, and then it froze up. So anyway, this is what I look like today, everyone. Hello. Welcome. You have missed.
Well, you look better than a gray screen.
That's true. It is better than gray screen. You've missed nothing. We've just been getting started, and I've been lax in ensuring that my system was ready for this call. Certainly not as well prepared as Jeff. Looking great, Jeff. I like that little setup. Look at that little standing setup. Is that so you can do star jumps? Oh, I can't hear you. You double mute, or is it me? Gee.
No, it's not you.
No, I can't hear Jeff either.
Everyone's having tech issues today.
Well, look, Jeff, it looks great. Just can't hear you. All right. So, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Obvio Q&A. There is ask a question on the dashboard that you came through, and so that's the best place to get your questions in. Those questions might be about how to use Obvio, what you're wrestling with and playing around with, and thinking about how do you do this. They can be entry level questions, very you might think this is a simple question, but there's no such thing as just simple or complex questions. We can take them all. And then maybe about just online events and virtual events in general, and then also production questions. So we kind of started off talking about some ATEM things, and generally we get some questions about production, but we try to prioritize the Obvio questions first. So that's what we'll do there. Thinking about a few things. We haven't said the catchphrase "Don't tech your own show" for a while, but it is a good catchphrase, and I'm somewhat doing that. We do live stream these, as you see. We live stream these calls to YouTube, really just for the quick turnaround of the recordings. It makes the recordings available straight away. You may have seen. Muddy, did you see I embedded a playlist on there, but I think it's there's a privacy setting I've got to change in YouTube. Did you see
I'll go check it now.
something on the dashboard? Yeah.
On the dashboard rather than
on the dashboard.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, let me
This
check.
one. So the idea is that all these calls are live streamed so that you can easily access them straight away.
Yeah, and what it says is that it says playback on other websites has been disabled. Yeah. Right. So it's not a permission thing as much as it is a sharing setting.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is it's very odd because it's not apparent where that is. But I'll have another look.
Is that Vimeo?
So that's no YouTube.
Oh, that's from YouTube.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't know where that would be.
No, it's really weird. And actually YouTube we've got a brand account tied to it, and so some settings are in the brand account, and man, that gets complex. So okay, so that's that with questions. And I think, Heather, do we have any questions sitting in Demander?
Yeah, we have quite a few. So the first one is from Amy. She said that she heard about being able to see attendee activity, the time spent in the event. How can she download that information?
Yes. So the attendees, we're still, there's actually something that we're just working on the last 24 hours. But we have, it's tied up in the stats that we're doing. But in the attendees, I'll show you. Why would I not show you? Let me show you here. We call it log. So when we go, let me do one quick thing first, and then I can share properly. And there, and I can show you it. Really? Gee, I think my my office setup here is kind of saying, dude, it's December. Like, just give me a break. Just let me have some downtime.
I'm sorry, Grant. I just had to do a full ATEM reboot and Rodecaster Pro reboot. And probably could use a computer reboot, but we're going to wait till after this call. It's hitting all of us, man.
That's what mine is like as well. This computer's been running for some time, so I probably need that too. But anyway, we're there. Oh, look, now we've got OBS coming from you, Jeff. All right, I'm going to share this. I'm getting back on track now. So what you will find, Amy, when you go to the Zoom areas. You pick a Zoom. You pick one of the areas. Then we have here export log. And you've seen this, right? So now the difference is a summary log is to say that across this whole area, for as long as many meetings as you've had, you're going to get a summary of how many minutes or how many hours and minutes that one attendee has been in there, and so it'll tell you exactly how many times they came in during that whole event, and also for the combined total, the sum total of time spent in Zoom. That's summary. Detail log is, and these are both CSV files. So there's a spreadsheet, and the detail is a line for every time they joined and left. So it'll be a join time, left time, how many minutes that was for each time they came in and out. And so that's the two different options there. Now, this data is something that we're working with we've been talking about the Zoom stats, or the graph that we can show how many people were in at a certain time, and then we can filter that or sort of zoom into a particular time slot and then see exactly who the people were that were on at that time. So that data kind of already exists when you take that detail log, and you would get those extra details. But that's essentially what we're using. Now, we are creating that. We're storing that data ourselves, which is going to be very good. And we're just finding a few little bugs along the way, particularly when we're looking at windows of time rather than the full event. What happens at a particular window? Calculating that is actually quite difficult because of knowing how many people joined before the window that you'll want to look at, and how many people left after the window or left inside the window, things like that. Anyway, I'm seeing a few people's eyes glaze over as I talk about windows and and Zoom time. But am I answering your question, Amy? Because I feel like, what did you say there? Okay, yep, got it. Yep, the export. Yeah. So play around with that. Do you know what's really cool with that, even at the moment, and this is a bit of a workaround hack that you can play with, is that you can take that data, and I've done this on a few events where, particularly multi-day events, where I took an export from the first day and I rejigged the data where I had the minutes column, the time column, and I rejigged it to where I had first name, last name, email, and duration, so the time that they were in Zoom. And then I re-imported that attendee list. And all that did was went and created a new group field. Sorry, I didn't say tags in there, but it would be first name, last name, email, tags, which would just be empty. And then group, and the group I called was day one duration. And I re-imported that into my list, and now I can see all the people that spent time in Zoom. And you could even do a little bit of extra sorting while you're in Excel, or how you're editing that CSV. Say your event went for 3 hours, you could delete anyone that was in there for less than a half an hour, say, or something. And now you've got a list of people that were there for a significant amount of time for day one. And now you could customize your dashboard a little bit to say, if someone has this group field is filled in, then show this particular blog post or something. And that blog post could say, hey, you joined yesterday, and thanks for joining yesterday, and you got to hear this, and whatever. Conversely, you can now target those people that were not there at all, or were not there for a significant amount of time, and say, hey, it looks like you missed quite a bit of day one. here's a recap, or here's the cliff notes, or this is what you need to know from day one to really make the most out of day two. Right, that sort of stuff is really cool. Yeah, so play around in it. It's just in your thinking about how you use that data. And I'll give you an insight into something that I'm thinking about is there's a trend that's happening in online events more and more that we would that we are creating customized content for individuals. So rather than everyone getting the same PDF, for example, they're getting customized PDFs that are based on some of their own data, or some of the data that they've given you, or things like that. Now, we're already a step towards that because of the way that we can customize the dashboard, but I want to do more of that. And I kind of want to start data mining some of the extra information that we can gather around. What I mean by that is things that happen in Zoom. So questions that people ask can be really valuable data. And then using a little bit of AI, potentially, we can generate highly customized and personalized dashboards for people based on what they're asking, based on the comments they're making, and based on some of their survey data. Anyway, that's kind of blue sky stuff, but I think even what I just spoke about with the duration of people in the event, while it's a little bit of a manual process, you can really start doing some dynamic things on your dashboard based on how much people have been in there. And when you use the detailed log, you can work out yourself, because you can create a window and say, I want to find out who was on in this half an hour, like when I made the offer pitch, or some particular thing, or they heard a particular speaker or something like that. Then you could really target that for sponsors even, and say, hey, we know that you heard John Smith's presentation about the product. You got to see that. We know that you were there. Here's the special offer. Because sometimes, and Blue knows way more about this, he's forgotten more about this than I know. But there are times where you don't want to just send people to a sales page unless they've heard the pitch in the right order and the right process. And so being able to give them a sales link, because that they were in Zoom during that time, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not 100%. They could have just had Zoom on and walked out of the room, but for sure that someone was not on during that time, and you may not want to give them a sales link if they hadn't heard the pitch. So anyway, Heather said there was lots of questions, and I can't answer every question as long as that one. So I'll promise I'll be faster. What's next, Heather?
So this also, Amy had an issue earlier today where she was trying to adjust the dates on her event, and it was not allowing her to adjust those.
Yeah.
Hey, Heather. It came down to, I needed somebody else who could read. My dates were right. I just wasn't reading the date the correct way. Thanks to Muddy, who read the date and said, but it's dated till 2024. You're okay.
Okay. I'm glad we're all set then.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Let me just say on that. Yeah. So that start and end event time thing has had quite a journey, and meant a lot more. It still means, like, you cannot start Zoom unless it's within that time frame, start and end. So know that. But it meant more before, when we were using credit systems and things like that for how long your events were and things like that. Now we've got unlimited duration of events. We really need to re-look at that, because it's tripping people up a bit, and it's unnecessary. And And so, yeah, sorry that you had that problem. I'm glad that your problem was that it was too far out, and that it wasn't passed.
It was that I
Had it have
couldn't
been passed,
read. Just totally just couldn't read it.
though, we've all done that. I tell you, throw a time zone in there, and that'll mess you up even more, right? That's
It's
not
like
yours.
finding your car keys or your glasses, it's right there.
They're on your head. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad you resolved it, and thanks, Muddy, for jumping in as well. He does great in the Facebook group, um, offering some solutions there. Most of the time, he's right. All right, next question.
And so the next one's from Kevin Lee. He said that he'd like advice on linking Zapier to Obvio for texting.
Yep. Okay. So, Zapier we use as a connection that is often connecting to another CRM or customer relationship management system. So who was this, and was it? Did you say it was Kevin?
This was Kevin Lee. Yes.
Kevin. Okay. And Kartra. Okay. And Kartra, you can send SMSs directly from Kartra.
Yes.
That's a question. Yes, you can.
But my question was, I tried to, without dealing with Kartra, but basically I was going to import my list into Obvio, and Blue said that we could use the SMS system there. So he said, oh, you know what? I know what it was. Blue was trying to tell me to connect Kartra with the sales to upload the people already into Obvio to make a list. And I tried to do that, but the problem was Zapier wanted this access token from Obvio, which I couldn't find in the link that it told me to go to.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, let's have a look at that now, because that's reasonably straightforward. But yes, maybe there is a link that was incorrect somewhere. So when we're looking at services on this main service page, see up here, there's access tokens. Access token, create one, copy that, give that to Zapier, and now you're in.
That's simple. I didn't look in that one area. Okay.
No, well, yeah, and maybe it's not as intuitive as it needs to be.
No, that's okay.
But once that's tied to the event, so that specific event, and now based on the triggers that you have in Zapier, you can kind of be sending things. So generally your data is originating from Zapier or from Kartra. You're taking a trigger from there and then pushing that to Obvio. Obvio is then returning a login link.
Awesome.
If you're wanting, generally that is then it's kind of more of a from now on point of view. So if you had a whole bunch that you wanted to import, you'd likely do that import first.
Okay.
You could do that as a manual import into Obvio.
Okay. That's easy.
And do it that way. And then once you have a new, I don't know what they're called, customer or whatever it's called in Kartra, once you have a new one and you have a trigger in Zapier that says, oh, you've got a new one, send that to Obvio, bring back the URL and put it back in Kartra.
Oh, cool.
Now that's only if you were then sending your broadcasts from Kartra and you wanted people to be able to log into Obvio through an email from Kartra. If you weren't doing that and you simply just wanted to gather all of the phone numbers and things like that, and to have it so that you could text from Kartra, then you wouldn't necessarily need the URL. It's an interesting one with text messages, whether you include the login URL or not. Only because we generally think of the text messages as a notification that the event is happening, and we still find that most people join from their computer and not from their phone.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yes. That's right. That's right.
So, but you can have a think about it. It doesn't hurt to include a login link in the SMS, and people can join from their phone. But and of course, the other thing is that lots of people, particularly on iPhone, might have their messages on their computer as well, and they're getting a text message on their computer, and they can simply hit that link and it'll open on their computer.
Yeah, I found Obvio's texting system. Well, I didn't use it yet, but it makes sense why it would be a whole lot easier for me to set it up there, because in Kartra, it's very difficult to deal with third-party texting companies. And
Right.
I've just really not dealt with it because it was too difficult. And so that was my intention to do it that way, and then to just send them to a discount page in my system, in my Kartra system, to receive a kind of like a blessing, a benefit, because you're in my tribe. That was really just
Nice.
all.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you can totally see that we want. That's why we added broadcast them. We're still, tweaking that out, because of how much a headache it is to try to tie it in with. I mean, most of the other ones, even like the integrations that we have, direct integration with Keep and MailChimp and ActiveCampaign, things like that, often do have some sort of, again, third party, broadcasting for text messages, and you're just jumping through all sorts of hoops to make it happen. So that's why we wanted to build it directly in. Just replying to a message here, and then we can get going on the next question. Okay, Heather, what's next?
The next one is from Heather. She said, how do I add another source like a vibe into the Zoom for event? I need to do another piece of equipment.
Can I ask that?
You can.
So behind me is a Samsung Flip, which is kind of like a vibe.
Okay.
And you can draw on it, right?
Yep.
Fun things, right? I cannot figure out for the life of me and how to connect it into Zoom. I went online, and this right here is a USB, but I don't even know if this is output. So then I went to it says import, this says export. So this is where I thought maybe I could ask you guys.
So is there have you seen on the back, is there an HDMI output? There should be.
An HDMI?
Yeah, output though. There's probably an input as well, but there should be an output.
I'm sure there is. It's brand new and it's not my wall. So so if it has an HDMI, would it work?
Yeah. So that would be the process, is to, I was just having a quick look. I'm trying to find that tech specs.
This is USB.
That's essentially what it'll be. Yeah, I would not worry about the USB. So the USB is likely more to be able to use the screen as a touch screen, or as an input into a computer where you might be running something else, and a few other services.
So what I want to do, just make sure I'm clear, is that if I have a camera here and I'm, teaching, but then I think Barry and Blue do this, and then all of a sudden you want to have,
just want to go full screen with it.
Yeah, of the thing.
Yeah. Muddy.
Yeah, so in my experience with the smart screen, it's going to be a combination of you want the input and the video. So you're going to need an HDMI and USB typically. Now, what you're talking about is showing, in some cases, the USB is enough when it's combined with the app, right? So like if that board has its own app, the USB may essentially replicate that screen through USB, but potentially you'll want HDMI in and HDMI out. But the USB is going to be the data to use the pen as a mouse essentially, and to capture the drawings. Tell me the name of that board again. That's the Samsung Flip, is that right?
Flip.
Yeah, Samsung Flip, and it
Yeah.
only has USB here. You can't see it probably. But this is USB on export and USB for import. It doesn't have anything about HDMI, and I do have an ATA Mini.
Well, the HDMI won't be something that you choose from the screen. Like it won't be a setting. It's just going to pass through and essentially mirror everything that's on there. But I think your basic gist is going to be HDMI in and USB out essentially. But I'll look up the Samsung Flip IO, and so we can answer this question here in a couple minutes.
But you know, I don't think I agree with you, Muddy, if you're doing a bunch of stuff on the PC, but it's essentially a PC in itself, the smart screen.
It is.
And should have an HDMI output that just is outputting everything that's on the screen, and you shouldn't need USB at all to do that.
Well, this cord, and I didn't put this here. It's brand new. I just moved into a brand new condo, and they put all this fancy stuff that no one knows how to use. So I just moved in. So anyway, this is connected, and this is a USB. I can't feel right now if it has HDMI. I'll have to have them.
It'll definitely have HDMI. It'll have it as an input and should have it as an output. I'm just trying to find it. And so there's the USB would definitely be able to control other applications and be able to open. You can open all sorts. You can sort of share different things on the screen, but as a very basic, just digital whiteboard.
Yeah.
There should be an HDMI out that you could plug into the ATEM, and then you can as an input on the ATEM, and have that come through as an input that you can switch between your camera and that.
With HDMI out. Okay. What if it doesn't? What if it only has this USB? Just throwing it out. I need to go check.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
another rabbit warren.
Okay,
I think that there's probably there's no doubt in my mind that the easiest way to share it will be the HDMI out. I'm just looking if I can see. So it's Samsung, right?
Samsung.
Let's come back to this same page.
Flip.
Specs. Hang on.
I'm not as smart as you guys, but I was able to do a little.
You know what? It may not have HDMI out, which is crazy.
I know. It says HDMI flip. There's a signature one too, but that's not it. It's a flip. They call it.
All right. We'll see. Muddy
What
said
we're asking it to do is not the normal way these are meant to be used, right? These essentially are meant to be used in the room. And most people want to mirror their screen, show a PowerPoint slide on the screen, and then draw on top of it, right? So what we're asking is how to mirror this out, which is a little bit unconventional. So
that's true. And it, Blue would be able to speak very intelligently about this because he tried a whole bunch of different ones and landed on the one that they've got, specifically for that, for a whole bunch of reasons, I'm sure. But yeah, it could be that you just can't get an output that you can then use into a Zoom meeting, So.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Or you use it a different way. You could use it in a different way where you could use the USB that is essentially just a almost like a mouse input into your computer. The computer could be connected to the ATEM, and now you're just using like some whiteboard software, but you're using the pen. Is that making sense? Because then you're just using it as a
let's say I'm on my event. I have one computer here. I can have a second computer with this. You're saying, and then this is going to be imported into the computer?
Yeah. Let's get to another couple of questions and we could come back to it. But if you, in the meantime, you have a look and double check that there is definitely no HDMI out on that. And then, yeah, we could talk some more at the end about.
I found a spec sheet for it, and it does appear that there's going to be it may say screen share out or HDMI out, but it looks like there should be. And on the back of it, there appears to be kind of a panel that covers all the I/O. So you'll have to like pop the panel off in order to get to all the ports. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like it should have an HDMI out.
Cool. Thank
Right.
you, buddy.
Oh, well done, Muddy. All right, next question.
Yes. So Amy said, when recording an audio and then I turn off the recording momentarily to go back to the recording, does it then record on my cloud account? It doesn't record in Obvio. Just confirming if pausing the record would be better than to stop and start.
Okay, so let's just talk some fundamentals about the Obvio Zoom account. So the Obvio Zoom account, enterprise account, has unlimited to cloud recording, and it defaults to recording to the cloud. There, and actually, there's not. Let me just double check that. Yeah, so you can allow to do a local record, which is a separate thing. It's not cloud recording. That would just be on your computer, not your Zoom account, not that at all. It's simply just using the Zoom client that you're on your computer and taking a recording and storing it locally on your computer. Now, you generally you can't do both easily, and so
Yeah.
Right. So when you
happened was I stopped recording because we were getting ready and I didn't want to have to edit out all the garbage we were talking about. And then started recording again to the cloud. It stopped recording because my cloud space is full. And I thought, I don't think that's recording to the Obvio Zoom. I think it was recording to my personal online.
Well, so were you using Zoom through Obvio?
Yes. Yeah, we had logged in through Obvio and we were share whatever.
It's possible that when you stopped cloud recording, that when you started again, it started as a local recording.
Yeah, it didn't record to my computer. The only other thing I can think of is one of the computers that we're using, which is a new computer that doesn't have Zoom on it yet. I was having to, when I would open Obvio to open the room, I was having to open Zoom in the browser because it didn't have Zoom on the computer. So that might have clouded that, pun intended, thing up.
When you stop, so when you first start the Obvio meeting, it'll auto start recording. When you stopped it, when you go to start it again, it gives you the option: record to my computer or record to cloud.
Yes.
And you might be onto something if you were doing that through the browser, that it didn't give you that option, and it should just record to the cloud. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, in the past I've done it and just said record to the cloud, and then when we were all finished, I could download the recordings through Obvio, through my, through my Obvio account. But today as far as I know, we ended up recording it on a Zoom account, a different Zoom account online.
Yeah, that's not possible.
So I don't know what we did different.
Yeah, something's funky there. It's not possible to join another account's meeting and record it in your own Zoom cloud account.
Well, and the strange
That's
part
a massive
was
privacy problem.
that I was using the computer I'm on right now, which is the disk space is full on this computer, and it starts and stops Zoom on its own sometimes. Like,
Yeah,
we could be in the
look,
middle of this meeting and it would suddenly go, bye.
yeah, I I tell you, computers do not like having full hard drives. There's so much that goes on that it's using, that it wants a whole lot of headroom in, lots of space, and so it will do crazy things when it gets full. Um, that to me sounds like it, that then went to local recording, and then that filled up on the drive, and it started freaking out. So let's just go over, best practice. Ultimate best practice is that cloud recordings are always a backup, and that you will have some other primary recording. And
Yeah.
that, and I know, lots of us just rely on the cloud recording, and it doesn't let us down. But best practice is to be recording locally in some way. At least record your input, your camera, and then having some sort of recording. Like, you can do a Zoom local recording, or you can do a screen capture. There's a number of ways of doing it to make sure that you have a primary local recording, and that your cloud recording is your backup. So
well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll know later today where it
What
got
happened? How
recorded,
much?
because we'll check to see where it went. Thanks.
My hunch will be that it didn't that it recorded a little bit on your local computer, and that's it.
Well, I think
So
after I got that message, we started recording it on a different computer, different Zoom account. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
so different Zoom account shouldn't
Well,
make
I
any
don't
difference.
think so. My husband was like, I'll record it on my computer. And so he just hit the record on his computer, and wherever it went, I don't know. I don't know where that goes.
Amy,
So,
this was for your practice camp event today.
yeah, it was.
So I'm pretty sure that was the Obvio account, and if Bill was signed in as a co-host and he started recording, it should be in the Obvio cloud.
In the cloud.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go look for that, because it didn't. We had, the oops video came down, and I saw that, but I didn't see the other part. But I figured it hadn't finished yet. So, all right, thanks for the answer.
So the other thing I'd just say, as we always say, is that it's far easier to edit out stuff that you don't want than try to recreate a recording that you don't have.
Yeah.
Right. And so, as annoying as, like, I get what you're saying, sometimes you want to have some private conversation before the show starts. Arguably, it's not best practice to do that anyway. And so we generally, right?
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, even if we
My
start 2
crew
hours
needs to
before.
understand that, but I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Well, and look, I think it's really good practice. This just opens up into another sort of comms and communication between team, is that when you're getting into that standby for show type mode, that topics of conversation need to be really focused, and it's better that your team is silent than talking about the different sizes of coffee that Starbucks has, because it's a cognitive thing. It's not just that people are distracted by talking about other things. Everyone's processing that data as well as they're listening to that. Even if they're not interested, they're listening to it and having to filter it out. It's better to have silence, and you're talking about the show, and then catch up later and do all of that other stuff. But it makes for a better show. I know you know this, Amy.
I know this stuff. And I
it's a
think
good
the
topic.
other thing to throw in there is, don't talk about how you want to change things right here now.
Yep.
When you've got everything already set up. Oh no, let's use a
100%.
different computer. Well, let's not. Okay.
We there's a bunch of friends of mine that we travel around a little bit, and so we're often going out for dinner. And we have a rule: don't talk about other food while we're eating food. I don't want to hear about other food that's so much better or great or different while I'm eating this particular food, because we're having this experience right now. Let's focus on this. And then when we've finished this, sure, let's talk about that. And there's another rule we have. It's actually with an a cappella band that we travel around with. And one rule is that we have a 20-minute rule. After the show is finished, no negative comments about yourself, about other people, about the show for 20 minutes.
I like it.
It's really healthy, because what it means is you get to the end of the show and you're able to say genuinely, well done, this was great, this worked really well, and you can, just sidestep around the things that didn't go great. Give it 20 minutes, because if the first thing that you hear after your show is, wow, that was terrible, why didn't we do this that way, or we should have done this better, or whatever it was, that's the summary of the show. That's the glass is half empty.
Yeah.
Right? And so you want to get out of the end of the show, whatever it is that you're doing, the 3-day event, the webinar, the half an hour show, the 8-hour show. You want to get to the end of that and be able to say, that was great. Here's the 5 things that were amazing, and well done you did this, and even in some challenging moments you picked up this and you did this or whatever.
Yes.
That's really good team building. It's really good self-talk stuff.
Thanks.
So anyway, it's interesting that we've gone to this from recordings, but ultimately what we're talking about is just let the recording go. Just when it starts, let it go.
Let it keep
and
going,
let
even
that
if
be
you're Yeah.
Exactly. And let
I
that
will do
be a
that from now
guide.
on.
Yeah.
It just seems that it takes anyway. Yes. So, and
It's good stuff.
I have taken just the raw recordings and thrown them up as a replay and said, I'm not even going to edit this. We're just going to put it up there and let them watch whatever.
Right.
Because it gets done. So.
Yeah. And there is some immediacy to that.
And to
good.
speak to what you were saying, Grant, we have a tradition here. Every time we finish an event, whether it's a live weekend event here, or we sit down that evening and we have 3 questions we go through. What went well? What was a challenge? What do we want to change? And we just go through those, and it seems to help us. We just find that we are getting better and better and better each time.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's excellence, right? Like, perfection we'll never get to, but excellence is being better week to week or day to day. And we're striving for excellence. And so excellence there is always more that we can do. There's always a little bit more that we can do. And that is something as a team that you can think about before you go into your event as well. There are always things in standby mode. There are always things that you can do at that moment, not radically changing your event, but just a little thing. I just need to double check I've got this ready, or I've got this. There's always something more that you can do. And so then same in that debrief. And I really like that, because I like having a framework to work to, because otherwise you can just get bogged down in here's all the things that were terrible that have to change, and offering no solutions, or how to change it, but just that it has to change. But being able to have those categories and talk about things that were great and things like that. Yeah, that's a good chat. That's great. Thanks, Amy. All right, next, Heather.
Yes. The next question.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Did you have something on that, or?
Yeah, I was just going to mention on the recording thing. What I've done is just so I don't forget to hit record because it's a problem I think all of us have probably had. I have a Stream Deck button. I don't know if you use a Stream Deck or not, Amy, or anybody else, but one thing I use before every event religiously is a countdown timer. So I know the event is for sure not going to start without a countdown timer. So I've created a multi-action button in Stream Deck that starts my countdown timer, cues a local record in OBS, which is what I use for software, and then also cues up a cloud recording in Zoom. So right there, I've got my countdown timer starts. I don't have to think about it, and I've automatically have 2 recordings, a main recording and a backup. So not sure if that's helpful to you, but that's been really nice in our workflow.
That's really cool, Jeff. Yeah. We in-person events, we used to tape down the lectern microphone or the headset microphone, whichever the microphone was that we were going to use for the first microphone we're going to use for the event. We put tape over it and put record right on the tape, right? And so then it was like, we need to turn up the microphone. Oh, we need to press record. It was always like you see these notes, having these notes.
It's got to be stupid proof, or no matter how smart you are, you will miss it. There will be an event where you will miss it, and you'll pay for it.
Exactly. Any tech that's been doing it for a little while, you can ask them, "Hey, tell us about that time that you didn't record. What happened?"
Hey, what was the clock app that you said? Someone said it. Jeff said it, maybe. The clock app. You said you put up a clock app and I missed it.
Yeah. Well, so I use a countdown timer. We have 2 different ones. So we use stagetimer.io is one that we use. We mainly use that internally for team. And then there's a way to superimpose that personally that I do in OBS so that the countdown timer that my team is seeing is also the same one that the audience is seeing. So it's in sync. Yeah, Grant just put a link in chat for you there. And then the other one that I will use is it's a kind of a clear PNG kind of file, but it's a clear video. You can find some of those online that are free. And I'm sure there's paid ones out there if you Google countdown timer, but that's something that, again, you could bring that into a video feed. Lots of different ways to do that. And then create a button that starts that.
Are you using OBS? I'm looking at your lower third and stuff. Is that all OBS?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm using OBS as my software side, which is the good chunk of my graphics are produced there because I'm controlling it with the 2 Stream Decks on my desk and one underneath. And then I run as much of my other stuff through an ATEM Mini just to take the load off my computer.
Just real quick on the OBS, because I tried OBS a couple months ago. It was horrible because of the Mac. It looks you have a Mac, so did they enhance it now? With
no, it's just there's a learning curve to OBS.
Yeah,
Once you're over the curve, you can get it to look amazing.
Okay, on a Mac.
On a Mac, that's all I use. Yeah, studio full of Macs.
Yep. OBS. So, yeah, we all often talk about the religious discussion about hardware versus software, and what Jeff is doing is kind of a little bit of a hybrid between it, which is a good way to do it, just to relieve OBS of having to have multiple inputs and multiple cameras, and you do that upstream. It's a good way of doing it. But this is tools. It's preferences for different tools. And the key is, and I say this all the time, but I always question people. What is the thing that only you can do, and what is the thing that you can get other people to do? Because there are certain things, particularly with content and community building, things like that you do best. And the more time that you devote into learning these technical tools and whatever is time away from focusing on the things that only you can do. And so I always just challenge you with that, because there's only so far that you get with doing more and more tech and doing that, and making it all more pretty. And some people just love doing it. I love doing the tech. But there's only so far you can get with it until you need someone else to be doing that, and you're probably not going to get other people to do your content, but you could get other people to do your tech. It's worth thinking about that.
I'm a tech geek in my love. That's why I always go down the tech.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Try not to, but at the end of the day, I do geek out sometimes.
That's cool. All right, next question.
Yes. So Amy wants to know, how do you live stream the call to Facebook?
Yes. I can't see it there now. There is there's a couple of different ways, but I think it is a standard in the live stream.
I don't think you can do it with your Zoom, with Obvio Zoom, because you have to connect the Facebook. I tried it. Maybe I'm wrong, but when I went through Obvio Zoom, not my Zoom, but Obvio Zoom, I don't know. Okay, I could be wrong.
Kind of.
Okay. In my Zoom account, it's no big deal, but not.
Was that Amy? Did you ask this question? Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen? So what I do, and I'm doing right now, which is preventing me from trying it again, is I hit live stream directly to YouTube. It then takes me to a YouTube login page. I log in and it tells me and it asks me what I want to call the, like the data about the video itself, and then it starts. And that's not stored anywhere. It's just in that moment. It's kind of an in-meeting thing.
So is it in?
And
where do I find that from?
So
Is
when
it
you're you need to be host. So it's the first person that started the meeting.
Mhm.
And then you'll have a button down the bottom that says live stream.
No, I've not
and
seen
live.
that one.
You'll often have to scroll all the way over and click on more to get to it. I've found.
Oh, okay.
That's very true. Yeah.
It's under more. Well, that helps.
Yeah. So then you'll see it. Then you'll see the option live stream, and then you've got a few options there, and you can do custom. You can do a custom stream as well. And from Facebook, you could get the details of the RTMP address and the stream ID, and you can put that into. If you had to, you can do a custom live stream. Just have a little play. So all of this, you just open a meeting from Obvio, and then go to as the host, and then go to live stream and see the different options there. I thought that Facebook was there, and you could be right, Heather, but I didn't think that you had to connect the account. But have a try of that. I think it is simply an in meeting option.
Yeah, it just prompts you to log in right then and there.
Yeah, just for that
All right.
instance. Yeah,
I'll try
for
it
that moment.
next time.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Yeah.
next time.
That's right. Hashtag tomorrow.
Well, and one thing that we're doing with this meeting is by streaming to YouTube, we are creating another redundant recording, right? So
Yeah.
it's not a bad habit to get into as a backup option.
Right.
True.
That's why I
Yep.
wanted to know more about it, because it would help
It does
me
create.
alert other people that the meeting's going on and also record it.
Yeah, it does create sort of more warnings and things for everyone as they come in. Like as you joined this meeting, it was like, this is being recorded and it's being live streamed, and you've got all these, boxes you've got to close down. But
Awesome.
if you start it early enough, you get people in early enough, and it's all fine. So
Thank you.
Cool. What's next, Heather?
So Heather has a tech question.
Hey, Grant, one real quick question on that, or one real quick comment is, by turning all those on ahead of time, people get all those prompts as they're coming into the meeting. I've heard you talk about this before, and it happened in a meeting recently where someone had stopped the recording, and then once everybody arrived and they were ready to go, click start, and now everybody gets this audible prompt: the meeting is being recorded, and they still get this pop up that they have to okay, but it's much more seamless when it all happens on the front end, and people just click through in order to join the meeting. So anyway, since our recent conversation, I thought that was useful to reiterate.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say that with Jeff, right? That would happen for your people. You know, when the countdown finishes and then the recording starts. But you don't find it to be an issue.
Well, they would get it when the countdown starts. In
Oh,
the
okay.
meeting.
Okay, not the end. Not the end. I thought you were saying it happened at the end of the countdown, but no. Okay,
Oh no. That way it's way out of the way because I want
that's great.
and then I try to incentivize for people to join a few minutes early because I want all that out of the way by the time I start actually delivering content.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Cool. So have we just got tech questions left, Heather?
No.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, not really.
Okay. What's
Um,
next?
So Heather had a question about a tech question for an ATEM.
Oh, yes.
She asked earlier in the Zoom chat. Heather, do you still have a question about it?
No, I think it was about that flip thing, so I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I'll figure it out. I'll ask about the HDMI and go from there.
Okay, perfect.
Sounds good.
Well, the next one is from Kevin Lee. He has a question about an ATEM for a beginner. What's a good one to use that's not overwhelming?
Well, there's what's easiest to use, and then there's what's best to buy, which might
Easy.
be two different models. Well, so the models really step up. I think they actually dropped the original one, but there's basically a Pro with a recording in it, and then there's a Pro ISO that means it can record all four, like the basic, the entry level one. It can record all four inputs at the same time as full videos, which means that you can then go ahead and edit that afterwards because you've got all four inputs recorded separately. So if you have a camera, you've got your, maybe you've got a gallery view in there as well, and you've got a different computer with screen share or presentation and things like that. So ISO isn't easy. You're right, Muddy. So, but and that's what I mean is it's kind of this. It comes back to that buy once, cry once idea, where you get the thing that you can grow into, rather than get frustrated that you didn't buy the next model up that can do all the stuff that you need to. But essentially, the basic model of the ATEM means that you can plug four inputs in, and then you can have a USB output that your computer sees as a camera input, and so it thinks of it as a camera. And now you can switch between those four inputs really seamlessly. And so you can switch between a camera and a computer, or two cameras, a different side view or an overhead view or something like that. And it's got the buttons on it nice and big. You have it on your desk and you can switch really easily. And so it's a hardware switch. It has a whole bunch of software. You can control it via software, and that kind of opens up some extra functionality to be able to play with. But that's the basic, what it can do as a basic. The record, ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM, ATEM. Look at you, Muddy, saying ISO isn't easy, and then you go to the extreme ISO as the most functional, and I agree with you. The ATEM Mini Extreme is an 8 input device, but the big thing on that is that it has 2 HDMI outputs, it has 2 USB ins or outputs, and so it has some extra, a special thing called a super source that you can do sort of composite views where you can have multiple cameras on the screen at the same time. Thanks, Muddy. Thanks for the backup on buy once, cry once. So there's a bit to explore, and like with all technology, right? It's not just picking between two models. It's picking between the 5 or 6 different models, and there's always just an incremental step between them. And you started out wanting to spend $500 and you end up spending $1,500. But so it's worth sort of exploring the types of things that you want to be able to do with it. The 8 inputs is probably more than you need, but the extra functionality of those outputs is really handy, and being able to record at the same time as having an output going to the computer as USB. So I don't know if I'm giving you a clear enough answer there, but we could do some more chatting about it to find the right one.
What did you just say? That was like on the goop. I was so lost.
And
it was like
thing.
blind group.
It kind of is. I mean, there's the basic model, and then there's the extreme, and there's an ISO in there as well. You know, we're talking about sort of 3-4 different models, and that yeah, that's what Muddy's saying too. And this is what I think the extreme ISO is the ultimate, because it has 2 USB outs, 2 HDMI outs, and the super source is really amazing. You know, there's lots of those. Jeff, save me.
So I just ran into a limitation with my A10 Mini Pro, and so I'll share this just in case this is something you want to do. So behind me is actually not a real wall. This is a green screen. In fact, I can change it here as we're talking. Or no, I can't. My companion isn't connected because I joined from another computer.
But I haven't.
Tech issues. But anyways, so what I was wanting to do is use my green screen and then have the Obvio emojis go over that without uploading a background image in Obvio, but I cannot. If I owned an A10 Mini Extreme, any of those models I could, because I'd have an extra kind of layer for keying and stuff. But you just get one with the A10 Mini Pro. So if you're thinking through this and you're like, oh, I might add green screen at some point, go with the Extreme, because now I've got a limitation. I don't mind purchasing it, but I just didn't think that through, 3 years ago or whenever the pandemic hit, and I bought the first one.
Jeff, you do have an upstream key and a downstream key on the Mini Pro, though. So you could do the logo on your downstream key.
Yeah, the limitation, though, is I need a layer on top of a layer, but also behind me.
Got
From
it.
what I've found and experimented, yeah, that's not possible.
Hey, Jeff, how much of that is your green screen, the lamp and everything? I mean, what's not a green screen? Just you.
Shall I show you? It's way more fun to show you.
Yeah, I'm super curious. It's like, okay, the computer isn't.
Yeah, let me, I'm actually not real.
Okay.
I'm a hologram. It's like Star Wars technology.
I believe that. I'm super curious because I'm redoing my studio and I'm like, should I do a green screen or?
Jeff,
trying to reconnect companion in a minute.
Jeff's a 90-year-old woman.
You're looking great, Jeff.
You're looking good.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
What's wrong with being a 90-year-old woman?
That's
I'm going to
right.
see if I can get this up. I just don't want to waste time on the call. So I'll come back and I'll have a different background and that'll answer your question. You'll see it switch in a minute.
Oh.
We'll see it change. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What's next, Heather?
Robin said, is it possible that a participant forwards their login link to another person that would allow that person to sign into the event and enter the room as a new user?
Yes and no. So it's possible to allow that, but the default is that it doesn't allow that. And so what we're talking about here is we've made it that the dashboard, people can join the dashboard as many times as they want from different devices, right? So yes, someone can share their link, their login link, and all of those people could then see, the dashboard. We don't really want to prevent that because it becomes, security is always an offset of convenience, right? And so often people are switching devices and trying
I don't mean this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't mean this.
No, you're fine.
So like if I send Grant a link to log in and you go, oh, hey, you know what? Muddy would be interested in this. And so you send your
Okay.
link to Muddy, and Muddy tries to go in, and then I see Muddy's email and Muddy's information, or if it's a free event, or maybe if it's
Okay.
a paid event, it goes, hey, I don't see that you're registered, but you can register here and join the event. So like I can capture a new participant and their information.
Yes. So yes. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple of different things there. What you're talking about, wanting to have the ability to be able to for people to share or kind of refer to a friend, that would likely be for a free event, would be the sign up page. The sign up page is let me go back and show you a couple of things that'll explain it better. I just closed it. It's coming back. So okay. So what you see, getting it. Oh, what am I thinking of here? Yeah, design and sign up. So this page here is something that you can send to people. That's simply your URL name / sign _ up, and that's the page that you can send to everyone, and you can say share this with your friends and whatever, your event / sign up. For particularly for a free event, they'll put their first name, last name, email, hit sign up, they'll go into the dashboard, and then they can join your event, and away it goes. For a paid event, then it depends on what your registration flow is and where and how you're doing that. We're working more and more on our marketplace and trying to make that something that you can totally do within Obvio, and have that you're buying tickets and things like that, and so that that can happen. What would happen? So we're now talking about if someone sent their login link, that was the full the link with the token that identifies them. If they were to send that to someone, then what happens is they would join the dashboard, and so Grant sends it to Muddy. Muddy clicks the link. He comes in as Grant. He doesn't come in as Muddy. There's nowhere where it detects that it's trying to detect that it's a different person. What happens is, depending on this setting here, and the user use multiple devices to join us at the same time, and now that's at the Zoom area level. So once you've created that defaults to off, meaning that they can. This should not be a checkbox. This is a pet hate of mine that I need to change. It's like a check.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't want to have them share the same login link. I want to see if they
Yeah, you want to have
share
them separate.
that. I would know
Yeah.
it's a different person with their email.
Fair enough. And look, if they did share the login link and you've got that as the default where they can't have multiple people join, they would get the dashboard. It would say, Muddy's looking at, hi, Grant, welcome to your dashboard. And then they try to join and it says, you've already joined. You cannot join from multiple devices. And hopefully at that point, Muddy reaches out to Grant and says, hey, the link you sent me, I can't join. What's going on? It's like, no, actually use this refer my friend link, or, like that. Here's the sign up page, sign up as yourself, and then you'll be able to join in and join as Muddy. So that's the controls there. It's a really important thing for us that we had to do from day one, is manage security, particularly for ticketed events and high paid ticket events.
Right.
To be able to manage that. And that has worked really well. It was a particular, a real concern and requirement for Tony Robbins' teams and his events. And they have continued to use us for 3 years, 4 years.
I was just a sneaky way to capture another lead.
Yeah, well, and there kind of is in that sign up page. Like there's no way of like it'd be a big privacy thing if it could detect the person. You know what I mean? Like they need to be able to enter their data somewhere. Um, but sometimes too, like even on that sign up page, it can take URL parameters as well. And what I'm talking about there is being able to pass in a first name and last name and email to that page. Where you might be able to use that is on an email list or something where you're rather than setting them up as everyone up as an Obvio user, you might have a list that you want to send to everyone and say, I'm sending this list to 10,000 people, this email, and in there it has the sign up page. You might know their first name and last name and email, and you can add that to the link so that when they click it, it takes them to that sign up page with the fields already populated, because you knew who they were from the email that you sent.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily need to know how to do that right now. It's just thinking about that's possible, and this is often what these calls are like, right? Like it's just knowing what is possible, and then you can explore it if you want to go down that track. But that is a way. Which also, tying in some other services, you might find some incentives for people to share with their friends, like refer to a friend, that idea, and have that it kind of signs them up in a way, like refer your friend could even add them to Obvio, and it just sends them a link. Hey, your friend Grant, hey, Muddy, your friend Grant has sent this to you. Thought you might be interested in this event. You could do some clever things with that in the way that you do your broadcasts, right? And if you tied that into some sort of incentive, that it was like refer to 5 friends and you'll get a free ticket to the next event, or I don't know. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's
That
a
sort
good
of stuff.
idea.
Yeah,
That's
things
a
like
really
that could work really well. So
thank you.
kind of thinking laterally on that. Nice. Got you thinking on some stuff. This is the thing.
There's always a little nugget in there somewhere that somebody says,
right.
"Oh, that's good." Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's often questions, like questions can often spark more questions, make you think. Makes you think. Just hearing people's questions. What types of things are you asking about? That then makes me think, wider. And so, I think that in general, I think question time is really important.
Mhm.
And often we get it the wrong way around, where we're wanting the expert to spend a long time answering questions, when actually we would just want to hear more questions. It's even a thing to be able to say at the end, hey, we haven't got time for all these questions. What I'm going to do now is quickly read all these 10 questions that we haven't got time for. Bang, 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 bang. And you're just like, that's like this quick download of what are the people thinking about. And we haven't got time for the answers, but we have got time for the questions. It's like, it's totally worth it. And that encourages the community as well, because you validate, you're like, you're saying that you're important. We appreciate the questions that you've got, So anyway, there's a few soapboxes that I get on, and that's one of them. Questions is. I'll get off it now. Heather, what's next?
Jeff says, would you walk me through the installation of JavaScript on screen?
I
I couldn't find the recording, Grant.
If you can get
Yeah, I was messing with something else. I'm here now.
where
We came to see you now.
We tried. He tried to turn off the key that he had on the green screen and blew it all up.
He really is a holic.
So was that one that you're talking about, the redirect? scripts?
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't find it in the recording, so I just wondered if you'd walk through it, perhaps.
I think Blue did it, didn't he?
I just couldn't find it.
Let me see.
There we go.
It's an advanced level move that we're going into here. So let me bring it up. I think.
I talked to Heather earlier, and I thought that, yeah. So to answer the green screen question, you're pulling that up. I'm going to just switch. This will tell you how much my set is real. Here, if I can get it to go. It's not going to go while it's on. Let me do it this way. There we go.
So only
The
the
chair.
chair is real.
Yeah, the chair is the only part of that background that's real.
That looks cool. That's a green screen behind you.
Yep, all green screen.
How many lights do you have in front of you? Curious.
I have two 45 degree angles. So I've got a key light here, fill light here, and then I have a hair light. It's honestly a little bright behind me. Need to adjust it, but yeah. The whole thing is pretend. There's no tree. There's no lamp.
There's
light
no
bulbs.
lamp, no light bulbs. By the way, is it a green screen or did you paint the wall green?
No, it's all green screen.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So it's connected to backdrop curtains. Yeah. I can do Harry Potter invisibility cloak if I wrap it around me.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that, Jeff.
Yeah.
Here it is. All right. All right. So what we're hacking here is there's an ability in Obvio to be able to add scripts. So specifically, let me think about this now. Features, design, and this is where you can put customizations. The main one, a really good use case for scripts, is where you might want to add like a Zendesk live chat or a livechat.com, or like a little ability to be able to live chat with people to do live support. Now, there's two places. Initially, you can put some scripts in a dashboard, like in a blog post, for example, and that's where you can put embeds and oh look, and that's working because I'm logged in. Probably. Anyway, that's what I'm hoping to get to. Everyone is like all the Q&A calls just sitting right there, and you could come back during the week, and if you're having trouble sleeping, you could come and put this on. Listen to me.
That would be awesome. Or you could
so
just record like a sleep thing for us.
That
would probably be more
do
helpful.
a sleep podcast. Yeah. So in blog posts, for example, you can put HTML in here, and you can put in scripts in here, embed codes and things like that. And that's how you can do it within a blog post, right? There's another spot on the dashboard, which is embed HTML. You can put things in here. Now, I say this is advanced level because you really can break things. We've given the ability, but you can sort of break things if you put the wrong sort of code, you don't put a semicolon in, or things like that. We have some safety nets in place, but yes, just know that you can do some damage here, and that's what it's saying here. Now, that's just for the dashboard, but what we're talking about is something else where we want to do something on for example, the login page.
Yep, there we go.
Okay, so just the login page. What this is a bit of a hack, but the idea is we don't want anyone to go to the login page. We want everyone to go to the sign up page. And so we don't necessarily suggest this, but it's possible. So I can I'll copy this for you, Jeff, but I'll make sure it works first.
That would be appreciated.
So what you're doing here is redirecting the sign up page. Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, redirecting the login page to the sign up page. So update.
And why would you want to do that, Jeff?
Yeah. So the way I do it is I have a couple events that are actually meetings with clients. And so what I'm looking for is Blue had shared a feature a few weeks back. Typically, if someone is signed up, it won't allow them to sign in again. And I know there's a JavaScript shortcut for that. So this is a little bit different, but I think this is what you're getting into, right, Grant?
Yeah, so that it's totally worked, right? So we went from, you could send just the root URL out, and so if you just watch, it went to login, and then it redirected to sign up. And so that, and this was the key thing that we changed here, to make this better or work, is that even if someone is returning for the second time, or returning again, they can still put their details in and it will take them there. Before, on the sign up, it would say you're already signed up. Login, go to the login, use your login, and that just confused people and it was too complicated. So now the sign up will work for everyone, first time users or returning users. And therefore, in some instances for free events, particularly, where you just want to get anyone in, you kind of want to just be able to disable the login. And this is an example of, we've got a workaround hack that can make this happen, that we need to actually build in as an option. We need to be able to turn off the login page and be able to, but this just gets you this functionality before we've actually baked it in. So you can see that's totally working, Jeff.
Yeah, that's great.
Going there, log in, and then goes to sign up. So you saw where I put that in. Oh, I can show you again, just to be really clear. And it was only on the login page. You want to be careful that you don't. You want to be careful that you don't put it on other pages, right? If you had that set to the dashboard and they were logged in, then it would be an endless loop, and it would just keep going, because sign up, it'd go to sign up. It'd be like, you're already logged in, takes you to the dashboard. Dashboard sends you back to the sign up, and the user will be in an endless loop. So so you just want to be really careful about that. It's only on the login page that it goes to the sign up. Same that if you put it on the sign up page and it's already on the sign up page, then it will just keep going. Oh, you're on the sign up page. Oh, there's a script. Go to the sign up page. Oh, you're on the sign up page. It's like, and the browser will go, it will eventually error and say infinite loop, and it stops. So that's why you just want it just on the login page, and you want to tell it exactly where you want it to go, and it's just replacing the location. That's all that is. So you could do a on a Mac, I think some people would know this, but you do a screenshot, open the screenshot in preview, you can copy the text, because preview does a automatic image to text detection. And so if you had a screenshot of this, then you can copy the text off of it.
Just got it.
There you go. Otherwise, I can also just paste it there for you. Send a direct message. Cool. So if most of that you didn't understand, then don't even dare touching that. You'll break a whole bunch of things. But it's another one of those things that you know that this is something that is possible. All right. Next
Yes.
question.
So the next one also from Jeff, he wants to know if it's possible to have both a form and a waiver required for check-in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
I thought it was either
Are you
or,
hitting?
and I didn't. I just popped it in there real quick. I haven't messed around with it.
Oh, you're making me question myself, but
Oh no, I think
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I think you're right.
you totally can. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I'm thinking about ones where we do that. We do that where we have a form and a waiver. The form's just adding a little bit of extra data, and then there's still a waiver and all the text in it. So, yep.
We are capturing referrals of how people referred someone to an event, and
yeah.
they're coming from a lot of different places where it's not totally possible to do like an affiliate link. So that's how we're tracking it, is just asking people on the front end.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great place to capture it because it forces people, like, they have to fill it in to be able to get to the dashboard. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
and then based on their questions, we're funneling them into different Zoom rooms so that they're with more like-minded people in their similar role and stuff. We've seen that be good in the past, but we've not needed the waiver step, so now we're adding that in.
Nice.
Cool,
Yeah,
thanks.
that's really cool. No worries. Next question.
The next one is from Robin. She says, does Obvio work with ClickSlow? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Tell me more, Robin.
I don't know more. It's a CRM that someone else in our group, actually a new leaper, is looking into, and I've been trying to decide which one to use. And he's like, I'm negotiating this deal and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, I have to make sure it works with Obvio. So I thought I would ask. So I've never heard of it before.
No, I hadn't heard of it. But so we don't have a direct one, but we
What is it
but
called?
they do have Zapier, which is, so if you see here, I'm looking at their page, looking at their integrations, and then looking here, that Zapier is there. And so it's always the go-between, right? So, like we were talking before, with the process that it goes through. So there would be some triggers that you can follow in ClickSlow that would say that here is a new customer, subscriber, person, whatever, and Zapier says, okay, when there is a new person, I just want to get this data from it. I want to get first name, last name, email, maybe a phone number, maybe something else. There might be a tag or something that you want from them. And I'm going to send that to Obvio. Obvio is going to create the attendee, and then it's going to send back the login link to Zapier. And Zapier is then going to say, hey, I've got a login link for ClickSlow for that customer, for that record. Add this to a custom field or a particular field within that CRM, and now you're able to send emails directly from that CRM with an Obvio login link, and you can do more complex broadcasts and tracking and things like that. And there's some tag creation sort of stuff as well that's possible. And so you have to play around with that a lot because it's sort of a little bit dependent, and particularly through Zapier. But if Zapier has created the attendee in Obvio, then you can do some things where you can tag a person. For example, once they click a link, they click a button on the dashboard, have Zapier tag the person in ClickSlow to that they have downloaded a PDF or they've done a particular function, they've done something. So you can play around with that and sort of synchronizing some tags that you might have. That it might be an
Lots of
alumni
tagging
person.
going on if I were to use them. Is
Yeah, I mean,
one that I don't need to tag anybody? I can just
yeah,
easily.
you don't need tagging at all. You need to, and really what you're thinking about is it's less about the event. When you're talking about CRMs, it's less about the event and more about the ongoing relationship across multiple events. That's what you're wanting to track. Which Obvio is not. That's not. We're not a CRM. You know,
Right.
we're an event hosting platform, and some people are using it for multiple events, or even using it for some weekly things or whatever, and that's fine. Totally, you can use it for that, but it's not a community hosting platform, right? It's not for building those ongoing relationships. So where there is a million CRMs is really about a place to communicate with them, for newsletters, for getting them to sign up to things, to sending them registration forms, things like that. Obvio, while we have our broadcast engine, we've built our broadcast engine specifically for event-based, like that they've already signed up and now we're saying welcome, and or hey, we're 5 days out, or
Right.
we're an hour out, or things like that. But if you're wanting to say, yeah, a newsletter or our next event is this, or this is our, this is the event calendar for the year, that really needs to sit in a CRM.
Right.
And it can be as basic as that, right? Like MailChimp, for example, is kind of that. It's an email list manager, and you can do a bunch of other things, and you can do some product pages, and you can, there's lots of things you can do, but it's more of email list management. Whereas Keep, for example, Keep was our first one, or Infusionsoft, it used to be called. That's a much more complex CRM that does use lots of tagging, so that you can tag people for specific functions that they've done, or certain things that they've bought, products they've bought, and then you can target everything. That you can say, let's now send an email to only the people that bought this upgrade, or let's target the people that haven't yet bought the upgrade. Let's send to them. Let's send to people that haven't gone to day 2 yet, haven't been to day 1 and it's now day 2. Like, let's target those people. And do you know what I mean? There's really complex network managing your large network list.
There's just too many CRMs, and I was really hoping that, we've talked about this a million times in different Zooms, and I was really just hoping the majority of people would have their liked one, so I could go, oh, everyone liked this one. But it's so spread out, and I'm just struggling with who to choose, and I need to make a decision. And
it really is. Muddy, are you still listening? If Muddy, I'd be interested in what he's not. Okay. You could even post that. I know Heather's you use Go high level, right? And you're happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Go High Level. I love Go High Level because it's so integrated. Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, you're fine. I think everyone's got an opinion on it.
High level, and then this whole ClickFunnels. I don't know if it's just because ClickFunnels is everywhere, and I know I don't know, but people say that it's not like a complete package yet. So I don't know. I'm like frozen in indecision because I don't see, like, is there a better benefit with one or the other? It just so yeah.
Robin, I'm more than happy to get on a call with you and show the differences. So
Yeah,
you
that'd
can,
be great. Yeah, I see your
Sure.
message. Yeah,
Sure.
thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
that-
I've been around for 20 years. I've had Keep, I've had Contra, I've had them all, so I can show you, and then you can make a better decision for
yeah,
yourself.
that would be great. Yeah, I'd so appreciate that.
Sure.
There you go. Yep. Have a play around. This is the thing too. I thought we might just have a couple of integrations, and we keep adding more and more direct integrations because of that reason. That we just, they're similar, but some have some strengths in different areas, and people lock into one particular thing and they stay there. So see how you go, and let us know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where you land. But the Zapier was the catch-all, right, for us, is that, if you had something, then we can at least make it work. But all of the other ones that we have can use Zapier too. But there's some advantages in us having direct integration with them. And so that's why we keep building out these specific custom integrations with them. So if it's really key for Obvio, then, seeing the Keep, MailChimp, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, High Level, and ConvertKit could be the ones that you at least start with to compare, because they're ones we've already built the integrations for.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Heather.
So Mike has a question. He wants to know when you would link your MailChimp account and when you would choose not to. He's doing a free event, so it seems like linking it for this event is less preferable to just sending them the sign up link.
Yeah, that's valid. So I guess things to think about is if you're expecting other people other than the people that are already on your list, or sort of people that you already know. If you already have the data, then there's an advantage to them being signed up in Obvio already, meaning that it's more seamless, that they're going directly from an email, they're clicking that link, and it says, "Hi, Michael," and they didn't have to do anything. There's some value there. And you can do that as well as have the sign up page, right? Like if there's a big group of people that you're gonna hit existing people in your network, and then there's more that you want to kind of go on socials or whatever it is that you're sort of pushing out and saying use this sign up link, then you could totally do that. So MailChimp specifically, there's a few features that we had when we first added MailChimp that we've now added in to the Obvio broadcast. One of those was a welcome email. So we have it that when someone signs up or they are added, then they get an email straight away with their login link. You can do that within the Obvio email. You can do that in MailChimp. I don't know how much you've messed around with MailChimp, but there is the ability to send a welcome email, or like a on subscribing, you send this email. I mean, it's complicated with their the automations and stuff, but once you get it set, it works okay. The challenge for us was making sure that before that email would go out from MailChimp, that it would have the login link from Obvio. And MailChimp can be a little slow sometimes. And when I say slow, I might be saying 10 seconds versus 2 seconds, and those extra 8 seconds might have been too slow, and it's already sent the email out without the login link from MailChimp. Whereas sending it from Obvio, it has to have the person, because it has their email, so it has their login link. There's those sorts of things. So I guess as you're weighing up the options on that, the sign up could work totally fine. But my preference would be to do both, where you're sending out a sign up link for general sort of public, and you're also sending links to people that you've already signed up to join. you want to share something on that?
Yeah, well, I think the reason I found out the hard way is I populated my attendee list through and linked it and then sent them the welcome message, and we never sent them any kind of message that we're going to be doing this. So everybody got the this welcome message and
Gotcha.
had no idea what we're talking about. But
Gotcha. Yeah.
which was a minor mistake. It was good to learn, but I think my main thing with it was I was working with somebody with a free account, and
Okay.
so they only had one audience, and they wanted to segment who they were actually going to invite, and not invite the locals because it's kind of a hybrid. So they're going to invite just people who are out of town. So basically, what I was finding after we are also starting a MailChimp for my wife's business. So I'm finding that I had to have a paid version to be able to actually create two audiences, which is what it seems like Avio only interfaces at like an audience level. So so I think that's kind of what I found out in the end, was I kind of just had to have the paid account to have more than one audience to segment, the CRM group. So
Yeah. I mean, I managed a couple of events that I used the same audience, completely separate lists. But I just had that one audience. This is a while back now, and you can totally do it, but it kind of defeats the purpose of having the history of an audience in MailChimp, that you kind of want that long history, and you can see all the different emails that they got and their open rate, and their click-throughs and all that sort of stuff. All of that's really handy to have. And so at some point, I guess I would argue that if you are only looking at a free account with MailChimp, you'd probably achieve all of that in Obvio with being able to broadcast directly from Obvio, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're wanting more of that, as I was saying before to Robin, if you're wanting more of that history and that network building and the potentially a newsletter list and the things like that, then you want to have something like MailChimp to manage that for you.
Yeah.
And then have kind of that, sounds like, almost that double or triple opt-in into an event, where you're inviting them. And that gets to another point that I was making earlier about the URL parameters. This is where you could have sign up. You can have the sign up page. So I think you're tracking me in MailChimp. In MailChimp, you could send everyone the same link, but you could embed their first name, last name, and email in the link to the sign up page, so that at least when they went there, it was pre-populated.
Yeah.
Right. So you haven't created them in Obvio. You haven't done any of that. You've sent the same email to everyone. You're just using that custom, the fields inside of MailChimp and embedding first name, last name, email into the link. So it pre-populates, and now, they hit sign up, and and sign up. You can change the name of that button too, of that sign up page. That might be continue, or join event, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't have to be sign up. Sometimes sign up, confuses people.
Yeah.
So that could be a good approach as well, right? Where now you're only getting the people that are interested as attendees within the Obvio attendee list. And once again, doing exports and imports, you can, like what I was talking about, if you were here right at the start, I was talking about those exporting the Zoom usage, as in how a duration that people were in Zoom. You can get that as an export. You could then import that back into MailChimp as an update. And now you've got a custom field within MailChimp that says that they attended X event for 30 minutes or
Oh, wow.
50 minutes, or, right? It's
Very
really valuable
cool.
data, right?
So
Yeah.
there is some good reasons to link them like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that's not necessarily linking, right? Like what I was talking about there is a manual process of exporting from Obvio and importing into MailChimp.
Okay.
And so you don't have to have it linked. Really, the big advantage with linking MailChimp to Obvio is for real-time creation of attendees, so that someone signs up to your audience through whatever mechanism you've got for signups. They sign up, and then you want it to create an attendee in Obvio and have it go through.
Yeah.
But it's totally possible to not have to worry about any of that, and just not have it linked at all, and have this sign up link that you just send to everyone.
Yep.
And that signs them up. You can also just have the sign up link, not use MailChimp, and at the end of the event, take your export list of attendees and import it into MailChimp as an ongoing thing, right? And all of that happens without it being linked. So you're kind of talking again about, think about your event and what happens there, and then think about your network or your community and how you're managing that ongoing relationship. And having those opt-ins and things like that. The opt-ins are very good. MailChimp is particularly good with, having a double opt-in, where it's you've taken the list from somewhere else, and then it's going to send an email out to say, you've been added to this. Is that okay? Do you want to be added to this list?
Nice.
And saying yes. And then you're able to include that in the footer of every email that you send, where you're saying, this email has been sent to michael@ellis.com. And you signed up on this date, from this whatever.
Wow.
Is really cool. And that sort of stuff is very good for defending against spam, like that sort of stuff. And it's great transparency as well for people that can't remember. It's like, who is this guy? What is this event? I don't remember this. That was years ago. Oh, that's right. It was that. And it was, you signed up at this event, or you signed up through this website, or
And that's down by the unsubscribe, basically. Kind of
exactly.
down
Yeah.
right where they would be like, get out of here. I want to get this out of here.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. Those unsubscribe buttons, and you can, and MailChimp forces you to put some details in there. How did these people sign up? What was it? Remind people of where they signed up and how and whatever. And I think you can include the date of sign up and things like that. So I think that's great. All of that stuff you set up once and you don't touch it again. And that's not just a MailChimp thing too, Robin, as you're nodding away. You can do that on anything, but having it on the footer of emails is a really good thing. And I'd like to include some of that in our broadcast stuff as well, because it catches people sometimes.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. All the best with that. Sounds great. Wow. Did we get there, Heather?
We did.
Wow. 5 minutes to spare.
Well, I gotta say, Grant, the app is making me appreciate Blue and Barry's genius even more. I mean, obviously, it just really supports what they do and why they're doing what
100%.
they're doing. So, as I learn Obvio, I'm sort of learning the behind the scenes of why they're doing what they're doing and how. Like it's almost like an architecture behind all the uh, wishy-washy talk. That can sound really
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's the number one customer for Obvio is Sage, right? Like it's those events. And so whenever there's sometimes there's new features that come along, that were specifically because Blue and Barry were like, we need to do this now, and so it's like, now this is what we need to do. and there's always really good thinking behind it, business decisions, like good, just solid thinking that makes sense. It's not just a feature for feature's sake or bells and whistles. I totally agree with you. When you start pulling apart all the features in Obvio, you see a practical reason why that's there, that ends up in building bigger networks and having more people ultimately that are signing up to high ticket offers, and they're impacting, there's more income and more impact, right? And that
Yeah,
sort of stuff.
totally.
Mm.
Good work.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey for the last few years. So for this little redhead Aussie to be jumping on that bandwagon with Blue and Barry was pretty amazing. So
The redheaded American's been pretty excited as well. We got to stick together. Redder is better.
Go the gingers. Did I tell you? I've probably told you this before, Jeff, but there's the zoo here in Adelaide in South Australia had this whole thing with orangutans for a while. So like rangers is often what we can be called. And so they had this campaign for quite some time where it was like rangers come in for free. Can any ranger can come into, so any ginger is able to go to the zoo for free, and go visit the orangutans, which is a very cool campaign. Yeah, it was nice.
My wife and I, when I try like some new tech for an event or something where it's she knows I'm pushing the boundaries of something, she'll be like, "Oh, you're living life on the edge, huh?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm a ginge on the fringe." And she's like, "Oh, every time I set myself up for your dumb joke," because I say it every time, and you would think she'd learn, but no.
That's awesome. There's a Tim Minchin song he talks about only a ginger can call another ginger ginger. It's a very cool song. I gotta find what it is. I'll send it to you. It's fun.
I have to look that up.
Yeah. All right. I think we've done it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather, for helping with questions today, but also doing all of the support throughout the week. Heather is the first line of defense on the help at obv.io. So if you need any assistance, that's where you can email. And there's also some live chat that happens through business hours in Eastern US. And so you can catch us there. Otherwise, I think we're probably going to move to just afternoons next year. But I think we'll still do a morning one next week. So 8 a.m. Eastern on next Wednesday morning. And if that's just too crazy, you can catch the recording on YouTube.
Too crazy.
Yeah, nice. No worries. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
night.